Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay. Put this here. Go. The Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, power, glory, yours now forever. Your Son, who shed his blood for us, who saved us on the cross, Jesus Christ. Amen. Boy, you're a pain. I'm trying to do the Lord's Prayer. I don't have an automatic card like you do. All right, I'll give you, before we did pledge, I'll give you this. I'll give you this. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ooh, got a lot to talk about. What's the subject of this? I'm finally back here, suffering Peter Buttigieg's. I had a flight Sunday night. It didn't leave until basically 11:30 Monday. Yeah, that's right. Sunday night at 7:40. That's when I was supposed to fly back from Florida, and it didn't leave until the next day, and basically noon. Uh huh. And I don't care what they say. Okay, first class is not first class. I used to have an office, 1920 North Lincoln Avenue in Chicago. I used to fly there all the time, and I used to fly business class. That's the seat I was sitting in. Now, first class used to be like a lazy boy. Okay, I'm not kidding. Nice. Okay, no. All right, and don't even get me started with the food. Oh, you wanna lose weight? Go fly in airlines for a while. Okay, so I have it. I wrote it down here. No, no, no. I gave you one already. You got a problem. You gotta go through that 12-step program. Come on, come on. Do you love me? Hmm? You want a bone? Well, all right. You go take this to your bed, okay? Take it to your bed. Go on. All right. All right. Well, I didn't know what to call this. I was gonna call it "You Need God in Your Life," and no question. But how are you supposed to know God? Well, you know God through the Word, the Bible. Okay, and many people, there's many different types of Bibles. Okay, I don't believe in just one. I believe in this. This is a nice Bible. Okay, and this is the King James version. And the thing I like about this is again the text. Text is big. Okay, but it sometimes is very difficult to read and hard to interpret. And so I do have this other Bible. This is called the New King James Version, and this is the Charles Stanley Life Principles Bible. And again, um, this is easier to read because, again, it's big text, all right? But also it has things down here. And I've gone, whenever I do, um, you guys can call it uh, anything, but whenever I do, I read a lot of what I'm going to read you, and I read it in King James. I read it in, this is the Living Bible. This is paraphrased. I read it in, um, this is the NIV Study Bible, the New International. Um, it's amazing that you're going to say, why? What are you reading? They're all a little different. No question about it. Because they're different specific translations, as it were. Um, but they, uh, some of them, it's not like I disagree. I take it all in. I go back to the King James. I look at it, and then I found this Bible specifically to be extremely accurate and also easier to understand for a person like me who speaks 13 languages, but none of which spoken by people. I speak mathematics, I speak computer languages. That's my native tongue. As it were, the English language and other languages, the participles, the adjectives, the context. No, it's not how my mind works. My mind works black and white. Very little gray in my mind. It's 2 plus 2 equals 4. Doesn't equal 5. Doesn't equal 3. 2 plus 2 equals 4. If I have 2 apples and I get another 2 apples, I have 4 apples. If I eat 1 apple, I have 3 apples. I mean, this is how this brain works. Okay. Um, that's just the way it is. So it's very hard to put into words things that I've seen in life. It's hard to put into words hugs from my sons, hugs from my grandchildren. It's very hard for me to put that into a word. Certainly, it's beyond any dollar value for myself. I'm sure that there's others who would take money over that because that's they're into the flesh. Okay, they're into. I'm not. Okay. Um. All right. So I have it written here. All right. So, um, you need God in your life, obviously. Adversity in life. What? Why is it there? What's the whole point of it? There's lessons to be seen. Um, the Americans and their infinite wisdom took these Indians and took them and put them on reservations and took all the stumbling blocks and all the whatever and basically put them in a way where they weren't rich, they weren't staying in these, no, they were just above poverty level, which means they were going to be in poverty and did not put any obstacles in front of them instead making it easy for them for everything. And what they ended up with a population that was addicted to alcohol and other things. And I there are some like myself who are of the opinion that they did this on purpose. It's a kind of control. It's kind of what the Democrats have been doing to the country since the 60s by separating them, breaking up the nuclear family, and by dividing that, and then allowing women to be dependent on the state. And by doing this, they're getting that paycheck. So they have to vote Democrat. And that's all these people care about. They care about staying in power. They don't care about anything else. They care about their riches, and if you ever look at their bank accounts, you can see what's going on. But when it comes down to your problems and your things, they vote for me. They want to keep you in that same peg, if not a little bit lower than that peg, because they want to keep you dependent. Okay. And that's not what God wants. God does not want that for your life. God puts specific adversities in your life and challenges in your life to improve you. You have to, number one, ask Him for help. Get down on your knees and ask Him. Number two, make out a plan. How am I going to find out? What am I going to do, Bob? How am I going to handle all this? You ready? The answer is in here, believe it or not. Okay. The relationship between God and his people is in here. And you say, "Oh, Bob, come on. How can that deal with modern problems and things like this?" Um, it does. It's amazing, but it actually does. And the first thing that you have to get with is you have to develop a relationship with God and realize that there are rules, and there's rules for a reason. Um, example, I was going through this weekend. Uh, yeah, okay, here's the Ten Commandments, Exodus 20. Okay, you shall have no other gods before me. I'm not going to get into all this other stuff, but yeah, right here. Honor your mother, your father. Your days may be long upon the land which the Lord your God is giving you. You shall not murder. Now, murder means to take somebody else's life in cold blood. Okay. That doesn't mean that if somebody is coming to kill you, you're defending yourself. No, doesn't mean that. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. I love this last bit that you shall not steal. There's no thing after it. You shall not steal, but if you need it, you can take it. That's what's kind of going on today. Or, you know, reparations. No, it says you shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. Neighbor can be anybody, right? You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, nor his male servant, nor his female servant, nor his oxen. What's his base? What are we talking about? What are we saying? I was at the casino. Oh, I think it was Wednesday. Wednesday, and a guy. We were my wife and I were just walking past, and a guy hit 24,000 on one of the slot machines. Now, other people were kind of angry at this. Why didn't I do that? I was happy for the guy. I'm like, great, fantastic, great. See, there's a matter of the way things are, you know, and I think that the I just came back from seeing my mother, and I saw my sister and everything else, and I won't get into the specifics. There's nothing really, um, but it's like I said, there's no exception to these rules. Okay, if you're saying I need this or I'm going to starve, um, no, God will find a way to help you. You just have to have faith. You'd be surprised what'll fall in your lap. You just have to trust Him. All right. Oh, He wants you to work. He wants you to, if you're able bodied, then He wants you to do things. But the thing that adversity does in your life is that, in one respects, it brings you closer to Him because, come on, face it. You don't usually talk to God unless the crap is hitting the fan. That's where you should talk to God. You should talk to God when the crap is not hitting the fan, when things are great. Develop a relationship with Him. You develop that relationship by reading His Word. Um, when you look at the Bible, God is all the way in the book, throughout the book. He is the unfolding it's this is the unfolding word of Almighty God and the influences of His people. Okay. Um. So when you pick up the Bible and you're looking for something, you're looking for something that's going to meet your problem right now. Um. It's big. There's a lot in it. My thing right now is just turn and start reading if you don't know. And just from that, you'll be like, oh, what's this? So Jesus said to them, because of your unbelief, for assuredly I say to you, if you have faith as a mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move, and nothing will be impossible for you. That's interesting. That's very interesting. That's Matthew 17:20. What's he trying to say there? What's Jesus really saying? He's saying that you might not see the hand of God in everything. And sometimes that there's a specific timing involved. I've just seen that. It's wow. It was very enlightening to go down there and see things because I always used to ask why? Why did my mother overtly choose my sister over myself and just cast me aside. And God turned all that in my life. He turned it for good. There's no question he did. And boy, I mean, Charles Stanley used to say, you reap what you sow more than you sow and later than you sow. And wow, that was really prevalent. I needed to go down there to see this because I needed to see everything in its full context. And I'm s- it's incredible how much better I feel. Um I you know, okay, so I mean I'm reading this Johnny Locke stuff. Um I want to have a Bible specific study. I was thinking about Wednesday. Um just an hour, we talk about a specific chapter, read it. Maybe not a chapter, but maybe a page, discuss it, things like that. I just wanted to discuss this because right now there's a tremendous amount of animosity, there's a tremendous amount of thieving, um, there's a tremendous amount of people who say that, there's no God. They will do anything they want and whatever the flesh tells them to do. And I say to them very simply, no. The rule of nature, the laws of nature is entropy. And thus, you cannot have a very complex organism which is extremely ordered and which does work and consumes energy. And down at the molecular level, has essentially a nano biological machine that has many different systems, as I've said, of specific proteins and things that, with one piece missing, the cell does not work. It doesn't. It fails. It fails miserably, and you cannot evolve that. There is no way to add those pieces together because they are specific um, parts of the system which makes a function, but they are of different technologies in a sense. And scientifically, Derwin did not have access to an electron microscope to turn around and look at the mitochondria cell and look at the specific DNA that makes up those proteins and then try to understand. He saw the adaptation and different types of things like we see with dogs and we see with other animals, and this how slippery the genes are and how uh, life will adapt to a specific environment and geo-specific centralized thing through different generations. But the essence, that spark, the essence of life, no, that was created, and it was created and programmed. And it's, as a scientist, I can tell you, it's this whole thing is a creation, and it's a simulation that's essentially running. When you look down deep in it, it's not unlike a old-fashioned cathode ray tube. Use that as an analogy. If you're old enough to remember your black and white TV, it had a electron gun in the back that would shoot a beam of electrons that were steered by a magnetic field that would shoot it across this line, all right? but the source was always a point source from that gun in the back, and it was shooting it. So you could pretend in the analogy that this specific universe, even though I usually use the meatloaf idea, but it's an 18 dimensional meatloaf. But we'll say you get the idea. And because of its entanglements and because of the way the photons work, they must have an original point source that is exactly congruent because there is no time. And there isn't. How much time is it to go from one corner of the TV screen to the other corner of the TV screen if you're all the way back there and projecting that those things? See, takes only the time it takes for the electron to get to any one part of the screen. It's just the same. And thus, this is a projection of a system. All right, and that's why we have entanglements. And one of the things that I say to people, because you'll get these other professors that are atheists or whatever, and they will basically argue and say, "Oh no, we live in a multi-infinite universe with infinite realities and timelines and all that kind of stuff." I'm going to hype. I'm actually doing an experiment right now. But in their reality, there's an infinite number of me's, not just one me. There's Googleplexes of me. Well, Googleplexes of me are trying to entangle specific photons. And these photons, I don't know if you realize this, they have a specific number on them, which means there's only one. Every single quantum anything in this universe of ours is numbered. That might be another thing to show you. I mean, who numbers things? Like if you're selling shoes and you have 20 pairs of the same shoe and size, why do you have each one of those boxes with a unique number on them? You do to keep track of them. I divest. Okay. So let's say there's another me, and he's well. So we're both going after the same one unique thing. And so we're going to say that this is that photon. And it's unique. It has a crack in it, just like that, and everything. It's totally unique, and only one can exist. Okay. Well, who's to say the other infinite amount of my people are trying to get this? They are at the same time, but only one can exist. I'm telling you right now. Listen to me. Okay. I can s- entangle a photon like that every time, the same way, and it works. Okay, and it's repeatable, and people are doing it all over the world. Okay, all over the world, all over the world. They're entangling atoms. Okay, Chinese did an FTL up to a satellite. Whatever they said that the speed of was like 10,000 times the speed of light. Then they changed it to 50,000. I'm telling you right now, it's instantaneous. It's like I said, it's like the analysis of that tube. It's the same everywhere, the whole from one end to the other. Okay. Because the point source is the same, right? The essentially engine is the same. Now, there are multiple, and you could say it's not infinite, but it's a lot. Okay. If we go back to this meatloaf, right? But in this meatloaf, you have slices of time, okay? And these slices are 2.03 times 10 to the minus 25th, okay, inside. That's how thin that slice is. But in that specific slice, and the slice could be, say, 5 minutes ago, you still have Jupiter, you still have the sun, you still have Betelgeuse, you still have Pluto, you have it all, okay? which means as they stand by themselves, and remember, there's literally nothing between them, these slices. There's a gap. Okay, I'm showing you much larger what the gap is, but it doesn't matter. There's gap. Okay, so as they stand, each one is literally a universe onto itself. Okay, in that specific time, it's like a specific location. Okay, then to complicate it even more, depending on your specific velocity, that's how fast you're moving in this thing, right? Because there's really no time. Okay, there's really no past, present. It's what there is however you're moving and whatever gravity you're around, mass, and that puts an angle on that knife of that specific slice. Okay, that slice that you have, that you're getting. Okay, so I'm telling you, okay, from my own evidence as a scientist and things that I have been working on my entire career, okay, since I was 7, is that I have determined, no ifs, ands, or buts, that there is more out there and more in there than you could possibly imagine. Infinitely more, even though it's finite, than my knowledge of what it is. Okay. But it all works to a goal to which that it's taking myself and essentially educating myself, making my knowledge that I'm carrying with me greater. Okay. Um, and that is really neat. Okay, so I have to do this person some justice. I didn't put down the slow chat on you, Johnny, but you can't write a novel because number one, I don't have my reading glasses on. Ah, and then Terry Schuster writes, okay, so Granna, first Bible, she turns 7 and writes well for her age. That's awesome. Children's Bibles are pretty neat nowadays. I haven't looked at that. My son has gotten Bibles for his children. Bible study is a big topic for while I hung out and discovered promoter and affinity Bible code. He read the Bible 50 times cover to cover. Somehow he made the Lutheran. Um oh no, die recently, plenty of things. Then SA3 forever. Thank you. Thank you very much. Nobody seems to care about audio anymore. They, uh, yeah. And I'll tell you something else. Um, it's a challenge today to listen to a new song that has more than 3 chords. It's a challenge to find one. Yeah, and that doesn't use auto tunes. So they're so hipped up on auto tunes, they're now going back and remastering things and applying auto tunes to it, which is beyond horrible. It's like you're taking the Mona Lisa that's in the Louvre and changing, having some dentists look at it and putting in teeth. Yeah, that's a good analogy. Okay, so um, Hebrew is I learned some Hebrew when I was young. My next door neighbor had a bar mitzvah, and he was one of my best friends, and I had to do my part. Um, and believe it or not, it's written like it's written like a computer language. First of all, the way computer language assembly and things, they work that way. Okay, they don't work from left to right; they work from right to left, and so the logic is essentially the same. It's a very mathematical language. Um, but I never had the I started getting involved too much into electronics and circuits and things, so I spent and rockets. I was in my father used to take me to the forget it. I mean, so I was getting books that were so complicated, because my father used to get them from the Manhattan Library for me, that literally every other word I was looking up. I had to get multiple dictionaries, not just like the Webster dictionary. And my father bought me multiple encyclopedias. He bought me the World Book Encyclopedia, but also the Scientific Britannica, and then a subscription to the Scientific Mathematica. And I had that till he died. I would keep getting, because you have to remember there was no really internet. There was an ARPANET that started really in 73, 74, but the internet, as it were, really didn't start till like 81, 82. Um, I'm getting a fax. and But yes, there's Bible code, there's everything else. Um Johnny, I'll leave you with this. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm going to have a Bible discussion every Wednesday, and on my Patreon site, I'm gonna put up a poll saying, "What do you want to talk about?" and what do you want to start? Um, the thing that I will leave you with is that every single basis of life on this planet has a lunar time scale. Everybody thinks it's solar. It's not solar. It's lunar. It's based on the moon. Period of woman, gestation of different. You check on it, it'll blow your mind. Okay. Oh, it could be a third, it could be a quarter, it could be a half, it could be a full, it could be multiple, but it's all based on moon. Yeah, mine blew my mind too. But there are things about the moon that are pretty freaking unique. Um, as of really Apollo 11, Neil set up he set up the laser thing they still use to this day. And it's a special area um, designed that if you shoot a laser beam at it, it'll send back an exact laser beam reflection from whence it came. So they use that to this day to measure exactly what's going on with the moon. But they found out when they took the lunar module, I mean, and the LEM, the top part, and they spit it out back at the moon, and they crashed on the moon. They were specifically listening. It rung for hours. The moon. It rung for hours, not 2 hours, not like almost a day. It was amazing. Okay, so it's hollow, rang like exactly, rang like a bell. Okay, pretty big bell. Let's just say. Um, So that's neat. And then you have to say to yourself, it's in a perfect orbit, right? Perfect. Um, and then in order to maintain that, it's actually leaving. It has escape velocity, which means it moves away from us about an inch every year. Okay, which incredible. Um, and then it perfectly, when it gets it perfectly blocks the sun to where there you see the corona. I mean, the distance that it is and the size is exactly the same measurement. Yeah, I mean, what are the odds of that? Yeah. So there's stuff going on, and I do not know what it is. It's above my pay grade, but there are people who argue with me saying we never went to the moon. I said, no, I've seen it with my own eyes. Okay, and you can too. You can actually go to specific places and telescopes and see this, but you can see it on other satellites and everything else. But you can look at the the universities. There's one in Maryland is shooting a laser at that same reflector that Neil put down, and literally they were shooting at it 30 minutes after he put it in place. You can look it up. Now, what are they hiding? Well, they're hiding the fact that there was aliens all over the place and other ships. That's what they're hiding. They don't want to talk about that. So there's another discussion, and people say, what are these? Are these demons? Are these fallen angels? Are they angels? I'm sure that some of them are, but I'm also sure that some of them aren't, which means I don't know. Okay. I would definitely say that their technology is superior to ours, but how do we know that, again, this is hypothetical, that they didn't have their own Jesus? And that it's the same Jesus, but it would be their Mary, right? Same God, but their Mary. Okay. So I'm just a theory of mine. It's not biblical, but I'm just saying. I don't know. All I know is when I died, I saw all kinds of creatures falling into the abyss. Not just humans, all kinds of things. Thank God it was no dogs and things. None of that. But it was a lot of other stuff. But on the light beam that I was on, okay, it was only 39 humans that I could see from front to back, as far as I could see. We were very far apart. How do I know that there's not other light beams from other races going to heaven? I don't know. I didn't make it up there. I made it almost up there, but I was sent back here. Okay, so more CMEs. Yeah, the thing is, Johnny, it's not an if. Okay, like an EMP might be an if. Um, an EMP, I'll discuss that. I'll discuss that. So in 19, I think it was 62, they launched. They were trying to. That's really when the birth of SDI started, believe it or not. And underneath the Kennedy administration, they launched a nuclear device, a small one, about 100 miles up in the Pacific, and they detonated it in the ionosphere. And what they were hoping was that it would put out a specific thing to block other missiles and things to kind of defend. And instead, no. It generated what's known as called electromagnetic pulse, a pulse that was so powerful that it wiped out some electrical substations in Australia, New Zealand, the French Polynesia, but also in Hawaii. And yeah, and then when they were doing other tests, they discovered these things later on, even more so. Um, basically, anything with a wire that's longer than, say, I would say about a meter, is susceptible to this. So On the EMP level, that would make it certain cars, definitely computers, including laptop computers, because the wavelength is smaller. Now, on and yes, it would overload electrical systems, overload substations, and things like this. But a CME is different. A CME like the Carrington event, it would be a K100 or better storm. Um, to put that into terms, the Carrington event was so large, it was 100,000 Earths in size, 100,000 Earths of incredible charged protons, electrons, and other types of matter that hit the Earth from the discharge in about 17 hours. So it was moving pretty good. Um, and that's planetary. Okay, that's the entire planet. Um, it is going to induce such a current that there won't be any electrical system left on the planet that'll be functioning. Um, it would basically plunge the Earth right back into the 18th century as far as technology. Now, will it affect um, computers, phones, things like this? It will affect a computer if it's plugged into your wall. There'll be such a surge through that wall that it'll destroy your computer. But if you have a laptop or something, no, that laptop would be fine. But then what is it going to do? How is it going to hook up? Think about your laptop and then just think about it without the internet. Now, if you're like me, oh, that's okay. I can make do because I have, but that's not how people use their computers today. They need the internet. The internet would not exist. Um, you're looking at power that would be out for a minimum of a year to 2, 3 years. Uh, this is not an if; it's a when. So that's the real threat to humanity, not this global warming. The global's been warming since it melted the last ice age. Look it up. Yeah. I mean, there's an actual 2.5 billion year geological record of massive extinction events and massive climate changes that have occurred without any of our help. Um, and it's in the Grand Canyon. You can look that up as well. Um, the magnetic poles of the Earth have decreased in their power by approximately 27% since the 1859 Carrington event. You could say that was the actual start of the flipping. Okay. Um, so there's been at least five ice ages that we can count on this planet. I'm sure that there were more. There was a time when the CO2 levels were actually 10,000 times greater than they are now, and the Earth was frozen like a big ice ball. Okay, so a CO2 doesn't act like CO2 you think. They're looking at places like Venus and other places, and what they don't seem to understand is yes, Venus was very much like the Earth, but where was it? And because of the difference in volcanism at one specific rate and time and place, they had a runaway greenhouse effect, but it was not only CO2, it was other types of specific gases, and the fact that they had no liquid water. Okay. We have a tremendous amount of liquid water on this planet. And because of that, CO2 doesn't act like the same way. Um, and the thing is that there's a the atmosphere is a lot more complicated than that. Um, there are other forces because the Earth is spinning with this dynamo essentially that's inside of it, which has a tremendous impact on the atmosphere. But the biggest impact on the atmosphere is from the sun. And the sun basically governs it. To those oil people who are crazy about oil and stuff like this, who think, oh my God. Yes, we need to get off oil. There's no question about it. Why do we need to get off oil? Well, number one, it's too freaking expensive. Number two, it's too freaking expensive. Number three, it's too freaking expensive. Number four, it's inefficient. Number five, it pollutes the air, pollutes the land, pollutes the sea. But, okay, this is a big but. Chemical energy got us to where we are today. Chemical energy got us to the moon. Chemical energy did tremendous amounts of things for us. There's a basically $14.5 trillion infrastructure that's based on chemical energy. That chemical energy can be replaced almost overnight by what's known as called nuclear. What? The nuclear that I'm specific talking about is not the nuclear of the uranium specific cycle that we have today. It is the thorium cycle of nuclear. And to make it short, it runs in a molten salt reactor. You can look up Lifter. Okay, that's uh, LFTR. I've talked about it, and you can also look up um, Kurt Sorensen from Flybe Energy. Um, Underneath Trump, the Department of Energy was working on this project. They went into the effect that he actually built a factory, was testing the units. Again, it was canceled the first day Biden was in office. It was extremely a green technology. Okay. We have approximately, and this is conservative, about 5,000 years of thorium energy on this planet to more than meet all of our exponential needs. Okay. And that's not including fusion. And even the fusion that we have today that actually works, the source of that we could mine the moon for, based on a Tokamak, a helium 3 atom. And we have that also. We have to go to the moon, we have to mine it, we have to bring it back. But literally only 650 pounds of it would run again the Earth for an entire year. But right now we have had this other thorium molten salted based technology since wow, my cousin, Dr. Sid Ball, worked on it for Oak Ridge Labs, and they had one running, literally running, the hottest reactor ever from uh, I think they got it online in 61, and then Nixon put an end to the project because he gets a call from these idiots, and they took the whole thing right off the table, and that was the end of it. Okay, and that was 73. With that type of reaction, the temperatures range anywhere between I'll put it in Fahrenheit, 750 degrees Fahrenheit to 950 degrees Fahrenheit, which is a very big sweet spot for a lot of specific side effect chemical reactions. Dimethyl ether, for example, which is another form of diesel. Okay, essentially. So that would solve the energy for the trucking industry. Natural gas would solve the energy for the trucking industry. You could take compressed natural gas right out of the ground, and you can run it in every single diesel engine with a very small modification. Okay. It won't put out as much power as regular diesel does, but the emission side is a fraction. It's very, very clean. They've been using that type of technology in buses in the Yosemite Valley for, I was there in 78. So they've been using it since 78 in Yosemite. Okay. Why? Because it's was cut out by the last ice age, and it's basically a big valley. So the air pollution is critical, and thus it made a huge difference. So everybody parks their cars and they travel on these buses, which are run on compressed natural gas. We have it. We have so much of that stuff. I mean, so much. It's ridiculous. Okay, and that's why they call it natural gas. Okay, it is the natural degradation of biological matter through specific types of organisms. Okay, and specific natural process. The largest creator of methane natural gas is termites that are in peat moss, termites that are in the south. I mean, this stuff is just going up into the atmosphere. It should be gathered, harnessed, burnt, used. Okay. It can be used for everything from making oil synthetically to making plastics that biodegrade, that are harmless to the environment, that other things can eat. All right. I have no words. The other thing that there was several plans. Oh, like how far does this go back? And I talked about my last show in Huntington. Okay, the town of Huntington was incorporated. Uh, I, I don't know exactly when. It was in the 1600s. Okay, but this thing called the Mills Pond was built. I think it was 1647. It's on Google Maps. You can look it up. And what is it? Okay, it's a huge pond. A huge pond. Pond is about oh, it's about it's pi d 3 times 5. I guess it's about 22 and a half miles in circumference. This pond, and it's filled, okay, with approximately 8 feet of water twice a day. It's drained and it's filled. And what is it? It's filled by the moon. The tides. The tides come in, fill this pond, and then uh, they used to close these doors with and make a lock, and then they force the water through this chute that goes and rotates this mill, this big water mill. And by that, they would um, grind the wheat, saw wood, do all kinds of things for this Huntington Town village. Um, Tidal power. Up here, anytime you get up in the higher latitudes, you have tremendous tides. And eh, they talk about wind. No, if they want real green power, look at all that water that's moving through the Long Island Sound and the East River every single day, twice a day. It's it's unbelievable. It's just eh, it's just it's an insane amount of power to do this, okay? And the moon is doing it. So in places like that, okay, and oh my friend, talks about Alaska and I've been up to Bangor, Maine. I mean, Bangor, Maine, the whole freaking. When I'm telling you, the tide, you put your boat into like a thing that holds your boat, literally, because when the tide goes out, there's no there's no water. Your boat's on these stilts, and there is no water. People, they have these like they're what you would use for laundry. They take these plastic things and they tie them around their waist and they drag them with their boots. And they have their rakes and they go rake up clams and steamers and all kinds of stuff every day. They do this, okay? That people, that's what they do. and and then when the tide's coming in, it's I'm not kidding. It's like a 4 foot wave that doesn't stop. It just it just comes in because you got in places up there, you got 14, 15 foot tides. It's an insane amount of energy that does this every day, and nobody's tapping into it. It's just amazing. Okay, amazing. And like again, a nuclear event, just a fission nuclear event. You're talking, I don't know, 14 MEV, something like that, something like that. I mean, compared to what you're gonna put, you're gonna compare that to gasoline reaction, which is what 87.2 kilocalories per mole, something like that. You're talking a million times more energy. It's just same one of that. Yeah, is that's why the Navy moved into nuclear for that reason, because of the fact I mean I mean, the whole thing with thorium came out of the fact that the Air Force wanted a nuclear bomber, and I'm not kidding, they would that's what they worked on and designed, a nuclear bomber, a bomber that ran on nuclear power. Whee! Yeah, that's so, they had to come up with something totally different than the pressure water reactors of 1947 era technology, which is what we have running today. And if you don't believe me, take a look at the designs. They're ni- they're pressure water reactors. What? Look in your house and see if you use anything that's from 1947. Not many things. So yeah, it's no. So they wanted. I remember in the '60s they were saying that, oh, do this, do that, and the power will be so cheap, you wouldn't be able to meter it. And one of the promises we were told on the project that we were working on was that was going to be given to other people so they wouldn't be able to meet it. Power become cheap and everything. I didn't see any hydrogen boron stuff out there. Did you? No, because it's too top secret. That's why it's. I don't even think it's getting. It might be getting some light and day at some lab someplace today, but I don't think so. They don't want to. Powers that be don't want to disclose types of power sources that are extremely efficient, 98% efficient. They're extremely small, and they know they don't leave a neutron path, which means in the reaction, there is no neutron that's released. There's no electron, there's no alpha particle, there's nothing. Okay. There's just pure energy, and they don't want to talk about that. Meanwhile, of course, it could change your life, it could change it could change all of our lives. And yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, you're talking about um, a Stirling engine. Johnny, you're talking about Sterling, yeah. Believe it or not, they are used. They're used in specific systems to recover, um, and that's all I can say. They used a lot. Okay, um, so because again, it's essentially free. People don't understand and they forget. It's amazing. I can't tell you how many people who don't know what when I say Carnot knows what I'm talking about. You can't. That's why you have like in these nuclear reactors, people think the nuclear reactor is that big heat exchanger essentially. No, the nuclear reactor is that dome building and that containment thing, and that's just getting rid of the waste heat because you can only use 50% of that for doing specific work. So there were people such as myself and others who devised systems that are separate, but you make use of that heat and they get more work out of that heat, thus increasing the efficiency of that system to 98%. Can't be 100%. Now, if you had room temperature superconductivity, it could be 100%. And that's, of course, what we should have been working on. Literally, Nixon should have been doing a moon project on room temperature superconductivity, seeing specifically what was going on with the energy thing instead of taking us off the gold standards, is what he should have been doing. And in doing so, he probably would have had it probably by 1987. And by doing that, it would change everything. It would change the manner of which we can transport it, the manner of which we can use it, the manner of which we can. I mean, it'd be 100% efficient. Everything. So you'd have 100% efficient motion. You know, I mean, it would be greater than the difference between tubes and semiconductors. It would be even greater than tubes to IC chips. I call it one of the holy grails of tech. To me, that there's three holy grails of tech. One is room temperature superconductivity. The other is a photon computer based on the math of light. Okay, using light to do the actual arithmetic itself, and light to carry the data. And then fusion, fusion, not cold fusion, fusion. So if you have those three technologies, you're going to be a type one civilization and be able to create and run spacecrafts and colonize the present solar system. Okay. And I mean colonize it. You'll be able to go all the way out to Saturn and its moons and yeah, and mine the asteroid belt and everything else. Okay. And deal with the what the sun can put out. Yes. Jim F. What did I say that was going to happen with what and why do you think my son decided to leave the Navy even though he was so short? Remember, 21 years, 17 and a half years, but what happens at 20? You get full pension, full everything. Okay. Not very long for that, but um, and then they couldn't find it. uh, okay. So there's been several ex pilots channels that I watch. One is CW Lemoyne. Another one is Gonky. He does a thing. Ready Room, it's called his channel, and then another one is Ward Carroll. Actually, Ward Carroll, I actually met him at Annapolis several times. He was there when my son was first, um, on I Day, and then later. So he used to fly Tombats, but more than that, his life is very interesting. Um, he won't make the kinds of comments that I can't make now either. But um, if you're building a military has one purpose, okay, and the military's purpose is to be extremely efficient at and extremely deadly, which means that's what your military is supposed to do. They're not supposed to be a poster of anything. They're not supposed to be, whatever. They're supposed to be defense, and they're supposed to be very dangerous, extremely dangerous, so that other people will fear it. They'll say, "Wow, we don't want to mess with them," and that's how you have peace. Um, my son was of the type where he did not care. I don't care. I don't care if you have purple hair, if you have an arm coming out of your chest, if you're whatever, if you walk upside down on your hands all the time. I really don't give a. I don't care. What I care about is if you're the right person to sit in that seat, okay, and then you're the best person to sit in that seat because both the Marines and Navy fly on and off ships. Um, with these specific aircraft, I'm going to tell you something right now. It's not that you're going to have it's not you're going to have an emergency, and it's not going to be when it's sunny out and it's blue skies and it's a nice day and the seas are calm and whatever. No, sir. It's going to be at the worst possible time. It's going to be when the crap's hitting the fan, and probably when you're flying back and you have maybe 225, whatever on you. You still have your armament on your plane, and if you're not the right person, the best person, and let's face it, this is not prejudicial. This has got nothing to do with it. Not only, I would say, you ready? At any given time, maybe only 1,000 to 2,000 people in the world, all shapes, sizes, I don't care, have the skills to do this. To do this, and you're saying, "What? Oh, there's plenty of people that fly DCS. I've seen them. I've done it myself. I've gone into DCS and I've done it, Bob." Yeah, I've actually sat in a real F-18 simulator, okay? A real one. And yes, I actually made 3 approaches, and I actually landed on my 3rd one, okay? I did not crash, but I did land. You're saying, "Well, that means you can just get in the thing." Yeah. Was I worried? Was I going to die? Was I, if I don't get back on this boat, I'm gonna be someplace in the dark, in the ocean, whatever? No. So, it's very easy for somebody who has flight experience to do that with these types of aircraft. You can even program the aircraft to actually land itself. Okay. If if it's your auto throttle's working properly, if you're not getting too much wind, if all these things are right. Okay. How often is that the case? Yeah. So it's not. Okay. Um, so thus you have to have the abilities and the um the skills to be able to adjust, l- look at the meatball, listen. You're listening to the LSO, to which that literally when he says power, automatically your hand is moving forward and you don't even know it. Okay, because he's controlling your hand through what he's saying, and not you're not even thinking. Okay, this is what happens with thousands of hours. Okay, and this is what happened by the time a person is goes through flight training, goes through their specific rags, go through specific things, and then what they do is they literally take their goose hawks and they fly them out and they land, and they're alone. They they don't have anybody. There's oh yeah, there's an instructor that's flying in the pattern above and watching everything. But let me tell you something. You have to land on that ship, okay, or yeah, you only get so many attempts, and that's it. Okay, there is terminology that's going on today, which is using people's ineptness or whatever, and you the thing is people saying, well, you're prejudiced, you're this because this or that. No, no, you know, not everybody can do it, and it has nothing to do with I'm racist on this or I'm sexist on that. This is a specific numbers game, and you either have the skills to do this or you don't. And right now, we need pilots because there are specific types of jamming systems. There are specific types of other types of things that I can't talk about. You need to have pilots who know what they're doing. Okay. And that takes a tremendous amount of training. Now, what they're doing in their recruitment, I don't know if you've seen these recruits. That's not very conducive to get that kind of person to dedicate what they have to do this. Okay, that's that's not the way to go about getting the best that this country has to offer. And quite frankly, you have to have the best in order to have a carrier task group. A carrier task group, there's a lot of people in that group, and all of them have jobs, and all of them are very important. They're important all the way down to the keel, to the destroyer, to the submarine, to all support vessels, to the tanker, to the one that's giving them supplies, to everything. It's not just any one person. It takes thousands and thousands of people, highly trained, okay, to make that work. So I hope you've listened to what I'm saying in between what I'm saying to try to get out what I'm really saying. But I think Fat Amy can be a very deadly aircraft. I was never. I'll tell you where we made a tremendous mistake. Obama killing the F-22. They should have made 1,000 F-22s. The F-22 is, and then they should have done the Tomcat, Super Tomcat. Um, we need an aircraft on the ship that can fly cap, that can fly this, that is specifically designed to go after missiles, threats that are towards the ship. What the Tomcat used to do with the Phoenix missile and that kind of range and stuff like this. We need that. We still need it today. The it's insanity of taking a Rhino and putting it up as a and running that frame as a tanker is insane, stupid. the stupidest thing you it's stupid. And fueling behind an F-18 is very difficult as best. The S-3 Vikings, the other aircraft that they used to have, were much more efficient because they were turbofan based, and so they could hang and loiter all day. They were easy to, and they carried a lot more fuel. So the Navy it has to be totally changed. The people are not thinking properly. They're not. They just aren't looking at the military the way they should be looking at the military. The military should be looked at as a lethal defensive object. Period. That's it. And all your money. If you want to have, and I'll say this about women: if you want to, you should not have two Johns. You should not have to. Women want to be a part of that. Well, guess what? It's just like oh heck, what was it? Starship Troopers or whatever. It's just like that. All doing whatever, same thing, whatever. Period. Because all the money should be put towards military lethality. Okay, here's a case in point. If you're a diabetic or you have high blood pressure, you cannot be in the military. Why? Well, say you're pinned down. Say you're a Marine Division, you're Marine Recon Unit, whatever. Your pilot has been shot down, whatever. You can't get to your blood pressure medicines. You can't get to your whatever. And you can't get to your hormone replacements, your therapy, whatever it is. You can't just stop taking this stuff, okay? See what I'm saying? It's a problem. And then here's the logistics. Here's the C-130. Do you want it to carry 45 pounds of meds or 45 pounds or more ammo or more food or whatever? Or medicines, real medicines, handle a gunshot wound, stitch somebody up or whatever. You don't want them to be handling this superfluous crap. You want them to be a military. We're not talking about we're not talking about this. We're not talking about this. This is very clear in what it says about that. God does not make mistakes, but this is very clear. Romans, very clear. We're not going to talk about that. We're talking about a military. We're talking about people's lives that depend on the threat of that military. I believe that you get peace through strength. The more threatening, better prepared a military is, um, the better for them to handle types of natural disasters like the one that happened in Maui, but that wasn't natural. But I don't understand why the Navy couldn't have sent a whole bunch of ships, make water. They have ships that put fires out. They have planes, everything. That didn't happen. Why did that not happen? Anybody ask about why that not happen? Why did that not happen? Okay, so that's why you have a military. Okay, right now this is the problem. The problem is we have approximately, I would say 50, 52 million people in this country who don't belong in this country. Some of them took years to have been living here for years. Some of them have been living here for 10 years, 15 years. They're definitely an underground society, but now they've been able to vote and they've been able to do things. I case in point, look at my election, look at my governor, look at ALC. Is she worried when she goes to a town hall meeting and all her constituents, they don't like her? She's not worried at all. Why? How does she know something else? Same reason why Hunkel got a criminal administration. Criminal. She was part of it. Criminal. How does she win by 800,000 votes? It's unbelievable. This is why I'm saying about Trump. Trump has, I'm not talking about the fact that he's a good president. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about we cannot survive another election loss. If we have an election loss, we're going to lose this republic. This country is gone. I'm telling you the truth. It's gone. Okay? You see what they're doing, it's gone. The only thing that's holding us is the pinprick of the Supreme Court. But something will happen. Whether they've had the court or whatever, it will happen. So, and it's not going to be Biden. It's not going to be no. It'll be gruesome and witless. You mark my words. Gruesome and witless. Does everybody understand who I'm talking about? Not, yeah, gruesome and witless. No, Michelle Obama wants to be on the Supreme Court. Oh yeah, then there'll be a whole coming out party. You watch. That's what she wants. She doesn't want to be president. No. It's not permanent enough. Okay. That's what a lot of these people want. That's the reason why the AG is so pissed off. Your current AG is pissed off because the Republicans stop him from being on the Supreme Court. That's the way he sees it. So he can be as partisan as he wants to be. But people hate Trump. Republicans want nothing to do with him. And I put it to you, yes, they're not real Republicans. They're real deep state, but doesn't matter. They hate him. They think DeSantis, and you guys question his support and whatever. Oh, look at these people. Yeah, I'm telling you right now, okay? DeSantis is first loyal to his God, which is the same God I have. His second loyalty is to his wife and his kids. And his other loyalty is to the country and his oath that he took, period. And that's it. He's going to do the best that he can. I think that Trump made a huge mistake because um, I think that DeSantis would have been a fantastic AG, fantastic AG. I think it was a mistake for Trump to attack him for the past 10 months, whatever it was. Instead, he should have been attacking the Biden administration. He didn't. He lost a lot of my endorsement and faith. I don't see how anything has changed. Anything has changed. If anything, it's gotten worse because Biden has added 15.7 to 20 million people across the entire country and swing states and everything else to vote for the Democrats. I don't see anything changing. Yeah, she's in a he doesn't matter. Whatever they say they are, it doesn't matter. She still has a JD, right? Still has a doctorate. So yes, all needs a Senate approval can be a Supreme Court justice if the president nominates that person. Okay. What was it all about infidelity? Um, it's about insecurity, I think, more than anything. Trump has a problem with that. He's got a tremendous insecurity. He's got a tremendous problem with picking the right people. He's for a guy who's very smart. He's very stupid because he picked all the people who stabbed him in the back. They weren't picked by me. They weren't picked by you, and they didn't do what was needed to be done in the beginning. I've been through all this. Now you have. I just don't see how it's going to change. How the media is going full bore on, and it's a new variant of Charlie Oscar Romeo Victor Indiana Delta. No, it's more contagious. There's people in the hospital. Oh my god! Yeah, this is all you're seeing. You're going to see the same type of election response, mail-in ballots, everything else. How do you know where they're coming from? Right? All these people have green cards. In my state, they not only got green cards, they got driver's licenses. They're registered to vote. They get they get iPads. They get they get all kinds of stuff, right? They get anything that they want, free, free housing, free 15,000. Who's paying for all this? I mean, this is those two people, someone so and Piven, how to destroy. This is how you destroy the United States. This is how you do it. What's really coming in? Did you look? Have you looked at what's coming in? Really? Yeah, what's coming in? The families? No, men, men of draft age. Who are these men? Where are they going to be? How are they going to work? What's going on? Max, you want a bone? I I got so many bones. I got lots of bones, Max. Take it to bed. Yeah. So this is the problem. Okay. And this whole impeachment thing is never going to happen. It's a waste of time. This whole budget thing is insanity. Oh, we're at the thing. Who's going to lose if the government shuts down? Who are they going to blame? Who's losing in the strike? They're not. Yeah, see what I'm saying? So, and how many months have they had? You should ask these questions. I say to you that none of these people, Republicans, Democrats, none of them should have been paid at all, not $1, until the budget was passed for the entire year, like any other business. Not this so-called continuing resolution. I don't even think that's constitutional. It's certainly not effective. And I don't know where they come up with this. Well, we're 33 trillion in debt. Really? Really? 33 trillion in debt? I don't think so. I don't think so. You're not looking at the unfunded liabilities, right? Unfunded liabilities. I'll try to bring it up here. U.S. Yeah, the unfunded liabilities. You what? Okay, do you know what these idiots did in the 60s and 70s? You know what they did? They took yours and mine, our pension fund, our Social Security, our Medicare, the thing that's been taken out of our paycheck for like ever. Okay. It was like, I don't know, a lot of money. Back when they're doing this, it was, I don't know, like $4 or $5 trillion. They've done more over time. So who knows? And you'll never get them to admit what they did either. But it's there. It's actually a fact. They've taken all of our money and they've written these worthless IOUs. And these IOUs, they're telling the government that you and I have to pay for them. You and I. Okay, so um, this is the national debt clock right now. Just crossed the $33 trillion mark. Okay, now this is what they say. You just follow what I'm saying. Okay, okay. Debt per taxpayer. That's you and me, because we pay our bills, right? If we don't, they put us in jail. Okay, this is what we owe. I don't know about you, but that's a lot of money. Okay, all right. Now, is that really what we owe? Is that really what it is? Yeah, this is really what it is. Okay, I want you to look at this number. Okay, this is the U.S. unfunded liabilities. And you can go into this site. It's usdebtclock.org. Okay, that's the real number. So you ready for this? Anybody here have a Monopoly set? You do? Yeah, the Monopoly money in that set is actually worth more than your money is right now. You don't believe me? I have paid. Okay, you have paid. Yeah, but this is how much Medicare liabilities are. Yeah. This is the Social Security liability. Remember what I said about the IOUs? You see this? This is the big reason why. If you go back in time, you look underneath this under Trump, this was not what this was. We were exporters because energy is the real money. And right now, the world, because we don't have the technologies, the world runs on oil. And despite what you see with the population, all these idiots talking about all these things, the population is crashing. Okay, it's crashing all over the world. It's crashing in Japan. It's crashing in China with their one-child policy. It's crashing in the United States. It's crashing in Europe. It's becoming an upside down pyramid like this. And that is a problem. It's a big problem. Not to mention, people are running away from God. They are thinking about the flesh. They're thinking about everything except what really matters. And these idiots made, and I'm not going to talking about God and everything else. I'm talking about rights. Marriage is between God and the couple. And yes, that's what I believe. The man and woman. Okay. However, I disagree with everybody on a lot of things. And the one thing I disagree with, the state never should have been involved with marriage. And never. That's the church. What it should have been involved with is civil unions, the legality, the being legally responsible for another person and them towards you. And this does not require the gays. It does not require the LGBTQ community. It doesn't require. And you could have best friends, say they're fictionally Oscar Madison and Felix Unger, and these guys have been living together. Say in this hypothetical world, they've been living together for some 30 years. Oscar's in the hospital. He's in bad shape. The person who's he signed a civil union with was Felix, and Felix was responsible for decisions made upon that person, his medical thing. There's no sex involved. This is a legal thing. The people could be related, it could be sisters, it could be cousins, it could be strangers that become widow or friends, it could be anything. It does not involve the government coming into the house and into the bedroom and seeing what's what. That's none of their business. This has to do with civil liabilities and civil legalities. That's what it has to do with. That's what it always should have been. So when I signed my marriage license, the marriage license should have been from the church and only the church. The other thing should have been a civil union license saying that my wife is my responsibility and she, okay, in the term, I'm her responsibility. That's what it means. So I make decisions for her. She makes decisions for me. The civil union. That's all the government should be. So I'm not concerned. Is that no? They fell for it because is that what the government wants? No, the government does not want. The government wants to be right here in my lap. They want to know everything, okay? Except when it applies to them. So we need to get our republic back. The whole reason why we're centered this summer is for this type of speech. This is not racist speech. This is not anything speech. This is our Bill of Rights speech. You have the right. That's right. Listen to me. You have your First Amendment right to lie as long as it's not in a court and as long as it's not under oath. You have a right to lie. You have a right to do anything you want in your house except to another person. But, short of killing yourself and doing whatever, you want to read whatever, you want to see whatever, you want to sit. That is your right. Okay. That is, and you see, the moment that I do not, the moment that I protest that, the moment that I have to listen to somebody else saying, "Oh well, no, we don't want," then they tell me, then they attack this, and they say to me that I cannot read or talk about this hate speech, and it's not hate speech. This is love That's all this is. This is love telling me that the bridge is out. Lots of people standing there trying to wave, hey, the bridge is out. You could go this way through this man right here. And he knows a way across that's not on that bridge that's out. That's not hate speech. That's warning people if they keep going down that path, they're going to fall into the abyss. It's not hate speech. It's caring, right? Well, Jim F. The other thing is the um, Tango Romeo Alpha November Sierra that's in the military has done to make our military weaker. It's done to make a society weaker, where they gain powers by causing chaos and also remember, united they fall, divided we fall. The more divided we are that much easier for them to conquer, for them not to see. It's much easier for us to focus and fight, and they lose because reality there's very few of them, and the others are trying to make their um, flesh, their holes in their heart, okay, and whatever by getting others to do the same and saying, "See, they're doing it." Oh, I can't tell you how many times I heard my sons when I was, because they hated me because I wouldn't let them play Grand Theft Auto, and oh, but so and so's playing it, and so and so. Yeah, I said, well, yeah, fine, that's great, but guess what? You're not doing it. I'm not going to have your mind, which is plastic, be molded by this game, which teaches you to go out and steal. And after your excess profits and fixing up your car, you go and spend it on a brothel. I, what games did I encourage them to play? F-18 Simulator, Battle Chess, Typing Tutor. Typing Tutor is a really great game. They could play it every single day if they want to. How did you? Well, you had to learn how to type, and if you did and type the word, whatever, it's like asteroids and stuff. But instead, you're typing words and letters and stuff to shoot down the missiles, protect your cities. Useful games, learning games. I would only let them play so-called video games on Friday after they finish their homework, and maybe on Saturday if they finish their chores. I was an extremely unpopular father. Um, yeah, because it's up to us, dads, to say no. We have to say no. Women, I'm not saying they can't say no, but I'm saying that I'm built for it. They are built to nurture. That is their thing, nurturing. Um, you'll find that the best daughters have the best fathers. I never had a daughter, but I can only imagine because it's an example of the man, the way that man takes care of their mother, to look for. Just as my sons, specifically my eldest, he, I mean, a lot of people thought that my wife and my daughter-in-law she was her daughter. Why wouldn't my son seek that? Because my wife was such a great mother to them. Still is, but I'm just saying in the informative years. It made sure that no matter what, there was always a meal on the table for dinner. And no, I would not allow phones on the table. If I'm out in a restaurant and I have a guest with me and they pick up a cell phone, I don't say it, but I'm offended. I do not like it. It means that whatever you're doing is more important than spending time with me. Even though you might not have spent time, this happened to me recently. You might have spent time with me in the past. Oh, I don't know, 8 years. So to me, short of the alarms going off in my house, and I have a special ringtone for that, a special vibration tone, or there is a specific emergency call from my sons about something, I understand that. But no, just regular crapola that can be done regular time. No, nope. Max, come on. Yes. You gonna say hi to people. You gonna say hi. Soon we're going to call it an end. Are there any questions? Any questions? Any questions before I call it a day? So think about a day you want me to do that Bible study if you want me to do it. I'm only going to put an it's only going to be an hour, but we're going to take one specific thing and break it down, um, and try to find out through all these. Well, how many Bibles are there here? Let's see. One, two, and they're all different. One, two, three, four. There's five here. I have about uh, another. Let's see. There's one upstairs. No, seven, eight. I think I have nine in the house here. I have another three in my house in Vermont. Okay, so yeah, well, they're basically communists. People don't understand that communism doesn't work. Communism is like it's like a modified big dictatorship where you have I wouldn't even give it. It's about half a percent of the public getting extremely rich and comfortable, um, on the backs of the rest. That's how the that's how the yeah, sun. Um, the sun. Well, the sunspots are going to increase. This is like a lull. In December, they're going to go up again, and the some X flaring now. There's going to be a minor CME. It's going to be hitting us. Unfortunately, because the magnetic field has decreased so much, I don't know the latest figures, but it might be near 27% from 1859. They had the aurora borealis in Arizona. Yeah, does not leave good things for us. I don't think the flip will take a lot of time, but it's definitely going to happen, and it's going to happen in our lifetime. The CME that I'm talking about, the Carrington event, is definitely going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years. I don't see how we're going to get away from it, and it's going to affect everybody. Um, can we stop it? Do we have the technology? We do, but I can't get to the right people. I can't get the right time of day. And Elon Musk as um, disappointed me in his recent decisions. He's I think in a lot of ways he's given up and he's just going along with whatever. And like I said, I wish I had 30 minutes with him. Yeah. Yep. The CME is going to happen before the flip. The flip is going to happen when there's another huge burst from the sun. That's a secondary micronova event. That happens about every 12,000 years. That's not going to be a very good day at all. That's going to be a real bad day. That's going to be when the continents basically uncouple and the whole world's going to Antarctica's going to be on the equator. I mean, it's going to be a bad day. That's- There's no easy way to put it. Basically, if you're at my house in Vermont, you'll see the entire valley. The Atlantic Ocean will go literally that far. Um, the sad thing is none of this has to happen. But, that's the way it is. Anyway, I hope you have a nice weekend. And I hope you understand that Jesus is the only way. You have to accept him as your Lord and Savior, the Son of our living God, our Father in heaven, who sacrificed himself for your sins. Payment in full. Repent, receive him, and life will change. I promise you. If you haven't read the Bible, I suggest that you read John, not Matthew, where the New Testament starts. John first, then go back to Matthew. Read John, the emotional John. Then when you read Matthew, you'll hear Jesus and you will see the difference in those testimonies of his life. Okay, fantastic. Um I wish I could have an interesting talk about these things. Um, sounds like you and I would, you join my pit, you get my number and stuff. You can call me anytime you want. I'd love to talk to anybody who's got. Anyway, people, have a wonderful weekend. Okay, enjoy this cool weather that we're experiencing. I have to prepare my generator for a hurricane. It looks like which means we're gonna be out of power for a week because that's the way it is here on the north part of Long Island. Anyway, God bless. Be good.